Hi everyone, this is a short presentation on quotation and citation for the Academic English 20 program. So the first question we have to ask is what is a quotation, or what are quotations? Well, they are the exact words cited from a text. Okay, you have to take the exact words that an author has used and use them in your own text. Why do we do this? Well, it kind of adds power to our argument. Okay, if we have a respected author whose opinion we are using, the reader is more likely to believe our argument. It may also be that an author has, a certain way with words. They're very skilled in how they present certain ideas, and you want to incorporate that into your writing. Okay, so if it's a particularly eloquent or well-written passage, by all means, use a quote. We can also use it to avoid plagiarism. When we read, we may take some ideas from authors and we have to give them credit for it. If we quote, we can't be accused of plagiarism. Okay, well, the first thing we have to do is to locate the quotation. We do this by being active readers. So as you can see from the article on your screen, this person has written along the sides and highlighted words and commented on the article itself. This is really important because if you do this, you'll be able to find the quotation quite easily. Pay particular attention if you have a prompt or a question that you're trying to address. Look for keywords and paragraphs that might address that prompt. Once you've found a quote, you need to follow the 3 steps to citation. Step 1, introduce the quote. Step 2, give the quote. Step 3, analyze the quote. How do we do that? Well, the first thing we do is we use a signal phrase. Okay, a signal phrase like maintain or claim. So try to think of as many signal phrases as you can before we move on. Okay, so these are the ones that I came up with. They're very commonly used. You can see that some of them have different strengths. Okay, so argue is maybe stronger than just write. Okay, demonstrate is quite active as well. State is quite confident, whereas suggest and explain are a little softer. So try to be aware of the meaning of the reporting verb that you are using. Do not use said. Okay, said is dead. It's overused, so try to use other reporting verbs. According to is okay as well. You use according to plus the author's name, and then have a clause afterwards. Okay, the clause or quote follows. So that's how we can introduce the quote. How do we give the quote? Well, there's different rules for full sentences and for part of sentences. Let's look at the rules for full sentences. If the sentence is full, so it has a subject and a verb, again, we use a signal phrase and we have a comma afterwards. So here in the article, the neurology of fast fashion, Mark Bain, the author, states, and then a comma. We follow up the comma with quotation marks and a capital letter. Okay, so states, comma, open quotation marks, capital letter. That's how we quote full sentences. And then you continue on with the quote. When you close the quote, put the period inside the quote. Okay, if there is no page number. If there's a page number, put it in brackets and put it outside. For your articles, there will be no page number, but if you're using a book, there may be, so be aware of that. The other rule is for part of sentences. So if we have a part of a sentence, we have to blend the phrase into the sentence. For example, Bain explains that. Bain explains that shopping is a powerfully pleasurable and sometimes addictive activity. So it's basically a noun that you're quoting, so make sure that there is a verb in the sentence as well. Every sentence needs a verb. And again, you don't need a comma or a capital letter here. Okay, you just need to quote as you normally would, use the quotation marks in the right way, put the period inside afterwards. Okay, so slightly different rules for a full sentence and part of a sentence. Part of a sentence, no comma, no capital letter, but you just have to make sure that the grammar fits. Okay, how do we add or delete information? Well, you can see from the first one that it is the subject here. Okay, I'm just going to move out of this for a second. So it is the subject. And if we don't know what it is, we have to add information with square brackets here. Okay, so the square brackets are going to allow us to add in information about pronouns or other missing information that the reader might not know. The next one is an ellipsis. If you want to delete information, so here we have the internet and the proliferation of inexpensive clothing has made shopping a form of cheap and endlessly available entertainment. If we don't, it's a little bit long, and if we just want to use this part, we can delete, and we can just use an ellipsis, which is dot, dot, dot. Okay, and we can bring that back, and this is how our quote is going to look. Okay, so it's possible to delete information if we just use those 3 dots, no more than 3. And the last one, sometimes when you're quoting something, there is a quote inside it, like this. In this case, we just turn those double quotes to a single quote, okay, because the quote is inside a quote. Okay, let's go back to the slideshow itself. Okay, now step 3 is analysis. After we've given the quote, we have to follow it up and explain to the reader why the quote is important. For example, you might paraphrase the quote, put it into your own words, and then link it to the prompt. Okay, these are useful terms and sentence starters that you can use. By this, he or she means. This shows that. X is correct in stating this because. Although X's view is a valid point, it is important to also consider. So you're commenting on the quote itself. Okay, we'll do more work on analysis a little bit later, but try to get as specific as you can about the language that's used. Okay, a quick task for you. Okay, this is the quote here, and I'm going to give you 3 or 4 options about analysis of the quote. Okay, the quote itself is one important thing you can't do online is participate in conversations with human beings, which is one of the very best ways to learn. Okay, so which analysis here is best? What do you think? So the first one here, Rotello, the author's name, discusses good ways to learn. Well, this is a little bit general. Okay, actually, Rotello says a lot more than that, and this is not good analysis because it doesn't really address the content of the quote. The next one. By this, he means that having conversations with human beings is the very best way to learn. Well, this is just repetition. Okay, so this is not good analysis because they've just repeated what's been said previously. How about C? In this passage, Rotello explains how learning with others in person is superior to virtual learning. Okay, that looks okay. All right, that looks fine. That's a good analysis because you're kind of commenting or rephrasing what the author has said. The last one is not good because it just moves on to the next point. It doesn't comment on the quote itself. So make sure that you're not being too general, make sure that you're not just repeating the quote, and make sure that you're not moving on to the next point. Okay, so this is the quote, and I'd like you to look at it and try to fix 2 things about it. Okay, there's 2 errors here. What do you think they are? Well, the first one, we have a full sentence. The quote is a full sentence. So we know that when we use a full sentence, we use a comma, a quotation mark, and a capital letter. Okay, so full sentences are going to have a capital letter there. And the other thing is we never use the author's name at the end. Some forms of citation do use this, but I would prefer you not to use it in MLA. Okay, so Gilbert has already been mentioned here, so we can just take the period and we can put it inside the parentheses, or the quotation marks. Okay, so two mistakes there. Don't put the author's name in brackets afterwards. Okay, that doesn't work. And if you're quoting a full sentence, make sure to use a capital there. Okay, final words. Choose the quote well. That's the most important part, is finding the quote. Really take care with the punctuation. Know whether it's a full sentence or part of a sentence. And the most important thing, good analysis will mean a strong paper. Okay, have a great day. And if you have any questions, please let me know.